to
I have a
say.
question that you have never been asked before.
So bring it on, Jamal. What's up?
Never asked before.
Yeah.
So you've said this quite a few times that the Great Court is sanctioned by Torah. Is that correct?
Yeah.
From Deuteronomy 17.
Yeah. Also Deuteronomy chapter 1 and Numbers chapter 11.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Sure.
So in the Great Court, they give rulings. Don't sway to the right or the left. That's what we're told. They give rulings, of course, on ethical, moral, civil law, but also we know that they've also given the Jewish people minhagim, and they've also given them holidays like Hanukkah or the blessing for Hanukkah, or I guess some say Purim was established or sanctioned at the time, if there was a court at the time.
Purim wasn't sanctioned so much later. So, I mean, in terms of Purim, it added that one should read the Megillah.
Right.
And have a festive meal and the whole thing of Mishloach Manot, giving alms to the poor. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So it's been also said that, and I'm not trying to say this to advocate for Noahidism or anything. I just want to make a halakhic question clear.
Sure.
For B'nai Noach, it's been said that they're not allowed to create their own religion or their own religious holidays or anything like that. They're supposed to go by the seven laws, and one of those laws, which you could say is a possible eighth law, is to establish courts of justice.
No, that's the seventh law.
Okay, so if they have a court that's sanctioned by the Torah, why couldn't they just, according to their courts that are prescribed by the seven laws, create their own customs and holidays?
So it specifically says that they have a seventh law to establish courts, this is called dinim, to enforce the previous six laws. And it says that if they want to keep anything else, they have to keep it just like Israel keeps it. If not, they should just convert to Judaism. Can you pull it up? Just look up Hilchot Melachim of the Rambam, chapter 10. Just read it down the line, and that should cover everything.
I'm in chapter 9. Let me get to chapter 10. This question stemmed from your discussion with the rabbi that you just posted today.
Most people don't study these laws. So it's like anything that you don't study. The average rabbi doesn't study laws regarding conversions or B'nai Noach. So when you have rabbis, even counter-missionary rabbis who do this all day long, and I'm not really a counter-missionary rabbi, they're going to catch them every time because this is not something the average person studies in yeshiva because it doesn't apply to them. The average person doesn't perform conversions. Start in chapter 10, halacha 9.
Okay. A Gentile who studies the Torah is obligated to die?
Yeah, keep reading.
They should only be involved in the study of their 7 mitzvot. Similarly, a Gentile who rests, even on a weekday, observing that day as a Sabbath, is obligated to die. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, he is obligated for that punishment if he creates a festival for himself.
Okay, keep on.
The general principle governing these matters is they are not to be allowed to originate a new religion or create mitzvot for themselves based on their own decisions. They may either become righteous converts and accept all the mitzvot, or retain their statutes without adding or detracting from them. If a Gentile studies the Torah, makes a Sabbath, or creates a religious practice, a Jewish court should beat him, punish him, and inform him that he is obligated to die. However,
okay. So far, this answers the whole question: can a Gentile keep the Sabbath or keep any other of the mitzvot that the Jewish people keep? So here is basically saying that if they keep the Sabbath in their own way, they're not allowed to, and in some way are liable to die. It's not really understood as a halacha because later on he says that we don't kill them. In other words, if they want to do it, they have to keep the mitzvot the way the Jews keep it. But they shouldn't just do it as in addition to the 7 laws. If they're serious about keeping mitzvot, well, they should just convert to Judaism. So this is why it's hard not to classify the Noahide movement of today a new religion, to the point that many of them have separated themselves and even argue against rabbis and teach that, oh, well, because the tradition is that 6 laws was given to Adam and the 7th law given to Noah, that this in some way predates Judaism and is the faith of our forefathers and not Torah, because Torah was given much later on, so is in some way superior because it predated it, i.e. is closer to God. Here, keep reading.
However, he is not to be executed. It says it right after.
All right, good.
We should not prevent a Gentile who desires to perform one of the Torah's mitzvot in order to receive reward from doing so, provided he performs it as required.
Elsewhere, it says that what these people are to adjudicate are just the keeping of these 7 laws, or ultimately 6 laws, because the 7th law is to adjudicate. So that's it. It really paints it in a box. And this is what gets me upset with these guys. And this is why these guys will never win a debate with me, because they don't read this. They think they know it. And it's just because it doesn't really pertain to them. The only thing they care is cashing the checks that I'd send them. But in terms of looking out for them and saying like, oh, well, yes, this is something that's serious. This is why I asked the guy today if he found out that if his mother wasn't Jewish or his grandmother wasn't Jewish, would he convert? Of course he would convert.
That was
because
a
he knows
great
that
question.
living as a Gentile, as a quasi-Jew is a joke. Now, you're already Israel. Like, if all you guys accept the Torah, in God's eyes, you are in his covenant. Now, you're not accepted by Israel as a whole. Fine. But that doesn't mean that you should be treated like a bunch of idolaters who aren't allowed to keep the Torah. Because that's what it's saying here, that someone who keeps the Sabbath or keeps Torah in his own manner should not be allowed to. In other words, it's people keeping these things out of spite, because conversion takes a day. If conversion took a day, why would they want to keep it if conversions were immediate? This question has only arisen nowadays that people have politicized conversions. They make conversions take years if possible at all. And then they ask the question, what do we do with all these people who haven't converted yet? So they create the problem and then they try to sell you the solution. It's so stupid. I mean, these guys, they haven't thought this out. Now, there's some people that I hold more accountable than others. All right, the Chabad guy, it's not what he studies. There are experts in Hasidus and Tanya. People are experts in Halakha. But anything that regarding Gentiles and Noahides, they haven't studied. This is why the guys who do study it, people like David Katz, people like Michael Skolbeck, Tolia Singer, because they actually have to give an account to Gentiles who give them money. So they have to give them something that makes sense. But the average rabbi doesn't study this. Honestly, like, you could learn it in an hour. It's very short. It's very simple. But if you ask the average rabbi, they're like, I don't know enough about conversions, and they'll redirect you to someone they may think knows. 9 out of 10 times, they're going to redirect you to someone who's just more confident to answer, but that doesn't mean they know anything. Right?
Well, this even what we just read, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds like the Rambam is saying it's okay for Gentiles to do more than the 7 laws as long as they do it as it's required.
Right. Well, here it's even saying that by Gentiles keeping more than 7 laws, they will get reward for it. In
right.
other words,
I've always heard that even if you do these extra laws voluntarily, there's no reward for it.
Right, correct. They're like, if you want to do it, you're not obligated to do it. So clearly, you have an obligation to yourself to do anything that brings you reward. This is why Jews do things. You're telling me the average Jew nowadays does anything like if he's not promised Olam Haba, the world to come? So of course, if something benefits you, you yourself owe it to yourself. You have an obligation to yourself to run towards that. So this whole thing that Gentiles don't get reward for, of course they do. Let's find other places that expound on this.
Where was this? Where did we just get this reading from?
This is Hilchos Malachim of the Rambam, chapter 10.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Thanks.
so let's go to chapter 8.
The same text?
Yeah. Jamal, I love Jamal. That's from like Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
Jamal.
But everywhere I go, that there's either Arabic people, Palestinian people, Indian people, they just instantly love me because of my name.
Like for Yemenites, because Yemenites don't pronounce the Gimel, they pronounce the Gimel.
Right,
So,
that's Camel.
Right. So they would say Jamal.
Yeah.
Like many Yemenites, but the ones from Sana, instead of saying like Bere Priya Guffen, they'll say Bere Priya Juffen. But supposedly that's a later thing that they picked up from the Arabs. It's not the original. Arabs don't say Gabriel, they'll say Jabril.
Huh.
Okay, let's so chapter 8, halacha 10. So here, one thing that people overlook, because people are saying, well, like the Torah doesn't belong to Gentiles. Why would anyone want to keep the Torah if it doesn't belong to them?
Ooh, wow. This translation is exactly what you said in the conversation.
Yeah, he was reading it in the Hebrew. That's why he skipped it, and I said, and it says, "And those who want to convert."
How does it read in the Hebrew? That verse that says, "And to all those who desire to convert from among the other nations."
All right, let's see. It says, "Ulchol harotzeh lehitkayar." It actually says it clear in Hebrew. Literally, all those who want to convert.
Moses only gave the Torah and mitzvot as an inheritance to Israel, as Deuteronomy 33:4 states. The Torah ... is the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob, and to all those who desire to convert from among the other nations.
So there it says those who desire to convert. It doesn't say who converted, because it clearly makes sense that if you take the Torah upon yourself, the Torah belongs to you. I mean, some rabbi doesn't decide when you come out of the water, it's your Torah. And the guy read it, yeah, that's what it says, but, it could be understood differently. I mean, that's what it says. So this whole thing that it's only if you're Jewish is nonsense. Question is, why would you accept Torah and not go all the way and convert if conversion only took a day? It doesn't make sense nowadays because people start looking at Torah with modern day lenses and saying, well, conversion takes years now if it's even possible. How can someone just start keeping the Torah and not be counted as a full Jew? It's because conversion was immediate. This is something that people overlook. Also, the Rambam, I think, it's in the first chapter of Hilchos Mamrim regarding Torah Sheba'al Peh. It says that anyone who believes that Torah is true is bound by the rulings of this court. Anyone. It says anyone. It says, V'chal cha'amim be'Moshe Rabbeinu uv Torato chayav lismoch ma'aseh hadat alehen. This is at the end of the first halach in Hilchos Mamrim. So here it's telling you, why is this overlooked? This shows that the Rambam doesn't only say that Torah is for everybody, Torah Shebiktav, right, the commandments in the Torah, but Torah Sheba'al Peh is also for anyone who believes it's true. In other words, you can't say that you believe the Torah is true and not feel bound by the rulings of the court, which are sanctioned by that same Torah. So these guys are just digging a bigger hole for themselves. You don't understand. This is like this thing is unstoppable here, and this is going to reform Judaism. It's going to change the way people think because Judaism has become so bigoted because of exile Judaism. In other words, in Torah times, or even during the times of the Second Temple, Judaism made more sense because it was tied to the land. And we're not asking who's trying to come in to convert us to Christianity. No, we're in the land and we're trying to progress as a nation. Clearly, anyone who walks in and identifies themselves with us, we welcome them because there's strength in numbers. There is strength in numbers. Why would we want people to remain Gentile if they could just become Jewish? This is why I asked them, are you saying that it's better if there were more Gentiles and less Jews? Because he was saying that there should be more Gentiles keeping the Noahide laws.
Right.
And if every Gentile who's coming to convert is a potential Jew, why not accept them as a Torah-keeping Jew instead of just telling them to remain what they already are? Because Gentiles are technically bound to the 7 Noahide laws, whether they accept them or not. So this whole thing that the guy didn't believe in discouraging, of course he believed in discouraging, because by the simple fact that you're offering someone an alternative religion when they come to convert, it means that you're discouraging them. It's kind of like some guy's trying to date my sister, and then I'm telling him, well, I'm not discouraging you from dating her, so why don't you date my friend instead? It's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,